Hey, it's Jack. Okay, Jack in the attic. Gengar is here. It's Christmas Eve. Gonna go ahead and date this video, and then we'll just see how fast I can edit and post it. But it's Christmas Eve. It's time to review everything I made this year. And by made, I just mean knit and crochet. I'm not gonna go over sewing. I'm not gonna go over all the yarn I spun. However, most of the yarn I spun happened within the month of Tour de Fleece, so you can watch my Tour de Fleece wrap-up video if you really want to know. It's there. I also post my finished spins to Instagram more than I post finished knits because they're easier to photograph. So that's all there. But the things I knit and crocheted this year, they're in a pile on my bed. I'm going to go through them as chronologically as I can, but I don't know how accurate it's going to be because I didn't keep track of that. I had to review my own videos for some of this. When names and designers are relevant, I will put them somewhere on the screen. Honestly, I'm probably going to move Gengar, otherwise I'm just going to be looking at him behind me this whole time. Let's get started. Now he's looking at me sadly from the floor, and that's not a whole lot better. So the first thing I finished, and this will be things I finished this year, not necessarily started. The first thing I finished this year was a corner-to-corner crochet shawl thing. I then over-dyed it because it wasn't dark enough. It was gray but kind of blue. It's one singular stitch, the corner-to-corner crochet stitch. I made it in a time of desperation when we were in the middle of a blizzard and I realized I had been making a lot of stuff with cotton and I really didn't have any warm winter accessories. It was a problem. So I found this particularly useful because I could crochet and then stop and then join back on and make it bigger. So I could wear it as a bandana, I could wear it as a little scarf, and then I could wear it as a full shawl. So it got me through that blizzard, barely. It's a K&C superwash merino yarn that no longer exists. Sad. Next up, my first brioche piece. It is the fingering weight brioche bandana cowl. I love it. I forgot to pull it out when it got cold, but it's only, just barely winter, so I still have multiple opportunities to wear this. I really like vertical stripes. I love tiny stripes. The squish of the brioche is really nice. This was a great first brioche project, by the way. Would recommend. Next up is the autumn leaves top. This is a really wide rectangle with armholes, a neck hole, and leafy lace at the bottom. I love this yarn. The colorway is so cool. It's from WheatlesCo. It's Casting Circle. I think it was a Halloween collection from a couple years ago. I know sometime early in January I made a crochet star-shaped beret, kind of. But it was a gift. If I can get a screenshot of me in a video wearing it, I'll put that here. Next up was a pattern test for Nessa's Knots. It was the 6 feet under crochet scarf. It's in my car. It's in my car right now, so here's a picture of me wearing it. This was such a fun one to make. I did the alternating colors, which was not part of the pattern, but was really easy enough to make that adjustment without any trouble. I will just say it was a big year for shawls and wraps and not necessarily scarves. I think that's the only traditional scarf-shaped scarf I made. The next thing that we have is the Luna Moth shawl, which was also a pattern test. This one was for knitting Nakabi. The Luna Moth shawl. It's too big to show you all of it at once. It's huge and cozy and beautiful, and I love it. The texture is super cool and super important, so I'll show you up close. It's just a great pattern. Because it's huge, obviously it took a while, but not as long as I expected. I don't know when I started this, but I know I finished it in February. I crocheted an X-stitch cropped cardigan as a birthday gift, so I obviously don't have it. I tried it on at some point. If I can find a screenshot of that, I'll put it here. If not, I'll show you the version I made for myself, which is the version I made for the tutorial. It is just a little cropped mesh cardigan. The one I made as a gift had ribbing and a button band, and the one I made for myself, I just put a little tie in the front. Wanted to mix it up because I have a long, very long version of the same cardigan that has a button band and ribbing. So now I have two versions. You're never gonna believe this, another shawl. Shawlette. This is the Rialha shawl by Audrey Borrego in a hand-dyed, naturally dyed yarn by Knitting Nakabi. I held it double with not mohair, I think it was alpaca blaze from Hobie. I had to cut a section of the lace out because I was running out of yarn, and it worked out perfectly. Yeah, here's the lace up close. So mine is not as intricate as it was intended to be, but I still really like it. I especially think the curly ends are cute. Next up is gonna be kind of hard to show. You've probably, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you've seen this because I wear it all the time. It's just a pair of sleeves loosely based on just a raglan pattern. It's just sleeves. The yarn is Lion Brand Kobu. I'm holding it backwards, maybe? Yes. This is the front. I crocheted like a surface crochet on the inside with elastic just to make it fit a little bit better because I made it a little too big. I always think this yarn is going to shrink more than it does, and then it doesn't. Because the Co in Kobu is cotton. So I expect the cotton to shrink, and then it doesn't. Anyway, I'm glad I got on the sleeves as an accessory trend. I really like it. I actually made another pair. You'll see that. They're piled on my bed, again, in semi-chronological order, so I can't reach it at the moment. We'll get to my second pair of sleeves. Next up is a gift that still is in my home. I made it for my partner. It is a cotton and linen blend, black and red, striped tank top. Ribbed and striped. Kind of a lot going on, especially because the pattern is supposed to be like super easy, beginner friendly. And it is. It's a good pattern. But this particular designer, the way their patterns are written, I get tripped up by the amount of information. I tend to see it as do this and then do this again, but no, it's do this and here's the explanation of how to do this. That's on me. But maybe if you go to knit this pattern, that information could help you. I don't know. This was one of my biggest, most anticipated pieces of the year. It took a long time. I love it now that it's done. I wear it all the time. And I finished it just in time to wear on my birthday. It's the Hilja Dress that I made in a cotton silk blend yarn from Hobie. And I did, what are these? What are we calling these? I should know this. I have been knitting long enough to know this. If I can do the technique, why do I not know what it's called? Oh well. It's a tank top with a skirt attached. It's everything I want in a dress, to be honest. I have officially picked back up, if you've been here long enough, you'll remember this. I have picked back up the cotton merino blend version I started and then stopped and then started this one, finished it and never finished the wool version. Now that it's cold, I'm behind. That's not new. But yes, this has been a huge part of my wardrobe since I finished it. I really wear it all the time. I do need to do the same crochet elastic trick to the armholes. Initially, I thought they didn't stretch out too much and that it fit perfectly, no problems. Someone even asked, like, did the armholes get too big? Maybe that's a common complaint. And I think I said no, because at the time that was true, but it is no longer true. The armholes are too big. But that's fixable. Okay, we're fully into the summer pieces. This one is a chartreuse and black striped cropped tank top. Hey, this pattern is not written for stripes, and I had a very hard time incorporating the stripes, even though I feel like it was worth it and I needed to do it, but I did mess up. I messed up one pretty prominent stripe. Only on one half of the tank top. It's about as visible as it can be. I have so much of this yarn left over, so eventually I will make a version that looks right. I have knit several Jessie made designs patterns, and they're all written so well. Would recommend. This is on my list, but I cannot find it for the life of me. Not 2 weeks ago, I went through a lot of my pieces and reorganized, and I did some de-stash of yarn. I have no idea where it is. I have no clue, but I have a lot of pictures of it. So this is the Chainmail Coif by ConsciousMoss. This was a pattern test. I finished this in like 90 minutes maybe. That's being generous. It was so fast, so much fun. And then taking the pictures for it was a lot of fun too. Up next, I don't 100% for sure know that this pattern exists anymore. If the pattern is linked, it's still available. It's the Cottagecore Crop. I made this in my hand-dyed... What did I name this colorway? Haunted Swamp Noodles. That's the colorway here. It's a tiny bit camo leaning, I think, which was not the intention. But from afar, I still like it. I do wish the neckline had anything going on to kind of keep it on my body. But the rest of it, super cute and super fun. I love a ruffle. I don't know. And then I did my first ever knit along. It was the Fairy Chasm tank top by Witching Hour Knits. I did mine in a linen cotton blend. I can't remember the name of the yarn at the moment. I'm pretty sure it was from Hobie. And it's really, how did I say this before? Toothy. It's really toothy. But after a few washes, I really like the texture of this and the weight of this. It wasn't scratchy the first time I wore it or anything. It was just a little hard on my hands to knit with. However, for a garment, there's barely anything to this, so the knitting was minimal. That's part of it. That's intentional. I wore this all summer as a swimsuit cover-up. I've talked about this at length. I don't like when I'm wearing something wet and then my clothes touch me too much. I hate that. This solved that for me. Like 100%. This doesn't touch me at all. The next thing I probably made was like 60 pride bandanas and bucket hats and stuff to give away at a local pride event, which was thankfully held at the very end of June, the last weekend of June, so I had some extra time to finish these up. I gave away every single one. I think it was successful. They're all gone. I have nothing to show you. If I can find a picture, once again, you know where it'll be. Next up was the first cardigan I ever finished. First knit cardigan I ever finished. I have crocheted cardigans in the past. It took me a long time, a very long time. I started it like late summer of 2024, and then I finished it late summer of 2025, and I love it. It is a cropped, striped, black and white cardigan. It's another one of my favorite pieces. I wear it all the time. I have worn it over my Hilja dress to just have a 100% hand knit outfit. I still need to fix the buttons and add the shank so it doesn't pull all weird. I say that, but then the button seems pretty loose. I don't know. I need to do something to the buttons to keep it from pulling all weird. But that's the only issue. That's the only issue. This was based on the Tin Can Knits basic cardigan pattern, but I had to forego the short rows because stripes will always be the most important feature in any pattern. I will do anything to accommodate stripes, even if it means disregarding most of the pattern. Stripes, I'm really ride or die for, so it's just how it is. This is Hobie yarn. It's either Friends Wheel or Twister Solid. I really don't remember, and I cannot tell those yarns apart. In my mind, they're identical. Someone told me that the Twister yarn is supposed to be like a tighter twist and Friends Wheel is a little bit looser, but I don't know that that is consistently true. It may have been the intention, but I don't think it is consistently true is the thing. Next up was my second ever pair of socks and the beginning of my interest in alternative sock patterns, and that is to say heelless sock patterns. You may or may not know, am in the process of knitting like every heelless sock pattern I can find to review all of them for you. Here's the first one. My Halloween spiral socks. There is a free pattern on Ravelry for spiral tube socks. Probably more than one. Definitely more than one. The one I used is more of a formula than a straight up pattern. But yeah, these fit really well. I really like them. I would make these again. I mentioned this earlier. My second pair of sleeves. It's technically a shrug, not just sleeves, but the shape of it is so cute. I was obsessed with this pattern for a long time before I actually made it. And it's inside out because I literally wore it yesterday. It's the Eve shrug. I will show it to you momentarily. I may actually have to put this one on to show you. It might be the first one I have to do that. I'm trying to get out of having to put anything on to show you. It's the Eve shrug. Okay, I tried a couple different ways to show this and it is just not working, so I will actually put it on even though I don't want to. Okay, this is approximately how it fits. I need to fix the loop for the button because I wove in the end and thought that would be enough to hold it, and it stretches. But this is another one of my most worn items. It's obviously a great layering piece. Often I will have a lot of layers on my torso and then realize my arms are going to be cold. This is great for that. I did knit it out of the exact same yarn as the other sleeves, Kobu, so it is not too heavy. And because the sleeves are so oversized, it doesn't bother me to layer on top of other things with sleeves. Usually I hate doing that. Another project I made and then gave away, I had leftover Halloween yarn from Joanne. I made 2 hats for some children I don't actually know. I don't have the hats, obviously. They look approximately like this. This is the one I made for my partner, except they don't have the black brim. but approximately like this. I believe this is a Tin Can Knits pattern. 90% sure. Ta-da! Apparently cowls are how I approach new knitting techniques, especially this year. I started the year with my first brioche knitting ever, and then in October, maybe it was September, I don't know, this fall, I did my first ever colorwork pattern, also in the form of a cowl. It is the Venomous Cowl. Am I saying cowl weird? I've never had to say it this many times in a row, I don't think. Have it folded over so you can see as much of it as possible. I love the stripes. I love the spider webs. This was so much fun. This was hard to put down. It was just so interesting, and every row changed. So every row was interesting, of the colorwork section at least. I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. I have a couple more colorwork patterns scheduled, planned to happen soon. Yeah, really well written pattern. This designer is known for cowls, colorwork cowls, holiday cowls, so of course it's good. Next up was my third pair of socks, and you are going to see when I hold these up how much I wear them, because they are already not pilled, but they have a halo of wear, you could say. These are the Ultra Easy socks. I knit them as small as possible because this is when I determined that I hate a loose foot and a loose ankle in a sock, but there's no other way to say this, I have huge, powerful calves, so I did a lot of increasing in the leg section to get it to fit my calves. But the rest of it I followed the pattern exactly, and I think it is a great pattern. By this point, I have figured out how to read this designer's patterns. The extra information no longer trips me up. I will absolutely be using this pattern again. I think it's very straightforward. It does have a heel, but it's just increases and decreases. It's no short rows. How clever. If knitting the Hilja dress was the big piece of the first half of the year for me, the second half technically has two big pieces because they're both fully hand spun by me. I'm just going to show you. This was a buddy knit with Irma Melkumian. We made cropped cabled cardigans. Mine did not turn out as cropped as I anticipated, but I do love it anyway, and I wear it all the time. It is the Vivica cardigan in hand spun. The wool colorway that I bought from Fat Cat Knits was called Peat Bog. I spun that as a single and plied it with solid black. So this is my Peat Bog Vivica cardigan. I obviously did not spin it with the construction in mind. You can see the stripes are real little down here and real big up here. I know there is a way to do that, but I am still a beginner spinner, so I simply did not. However, I could not be more pleased with this cardigan. It is obviously a huge labor of love, and it's also a big part of my attempt to add some browns and more greens to my wardrobe. You'll see I knit a lot of green this year. A lot for me. I think this one I have to put on too. I hope this is visible. It's so foggy today that I can't see across the street. But yeah, this is my hand-spun cardigan. The last big project for the year was another pattern test. I did a fair amount of pattern testing this year, which I like to do. Overall, I just enjoy the testing process. I try not to double up on tests, though. I try not to have more than one going at a time. This pattern has not come out yet. We are nearing the end of the process. It is the Peat Wrap by Witching Hour Knits. It is a big, wide wrap with a cable and all the eyelet details and fringe. It is the most fashionable wearable blanket on the market. It's not on the market at all, but when it is, this went surprisingly fast. Not counting the fact that I spun like a pound of BFL for this. But it went surprisingly fast once I started knitting it. It is a pretty easy to memorize 8-row repeat. Allegedly, I'm really bad at memorizing repeats, so I just wrote down the order of the rows and kept that handy so that I could remember what row I was on. It makes perfect sense, like what comes next, but remembering what row I was on is what I had trouble with. But again, that's just me. I think this is a really good first cable pattern if you haven't knit cables, because it is a simple cable, but so much repetition, it goes the entire length of the piece, that I feel like you can't come out of this not knowing how to knit cables, you know? And because I love this piece so much and I wear it all the time, anytime the temperature drops below 40, I have been putting this on, I went ahead and crocheted and knit a little beret to go with it. I will take my hair down to put the beret on. Crocheted the body of this. I talked about this in my last video, so it's still pretty fresh in my mind. I said that I was the hats for sale guy multiple times. I meant caps for sale, but I love crocheting berets. I am the caps for sale guy. But I did knit the ribbing. I do want to make matching hand warmers. I think a 3-piece set would be really cute. Just hasn't happened yet. I'm resting my hands, as we know. I'm so delighted with this piece. I spun all this yarn. That's so crazy. My very last knits for the year are maybe not going to seem like as big of a deal compared to the last couple of things I just showed you, but number one, they are just the last pieces I finished, and number two, I think it's cute that they match, and I dyed the yarn. So here are the beanies I knit for myself and my partner in the same frame for the first time ever. I've never had access to both of them at the same time. They're just little beanies. You can see I made mine bigger because I don't like a tight hat, but my partner does. I dyed this yarn knowing that this is exactly the project I was going to make. I dyed them at the exact same time. Well, obviously the brown and the red were done differently, but I think the yarns really were the same, but the knitting tension makes them look so different. Huh. Anyway, yarn is magic. We know this. This is the second video in a row where I put these accessories on to show them off and then just didn't want to take them off, if that tells you anything. So that is it. Unless it isn't, if I forgot anything that you remember, please let me know. I'm sure I forgot something. Positive. I definitely forgot something, but what? That was kind of a lot. I like making these videos because it reminds me of everything I have done, it reminds me to wear my pieces more, and I love watching this type of video from other YouTubers, so why wouldn't I make it? Anyway, depending on when I get this video out, happy various holidays, happy Honda days. of course. I will now send you off with the traditional holiday blessing of don't forget to rest and stretch your hands and take care of your joints and take breaks. But as always, go and live your best yarny life, and I will see you next time.